They're gonna be. Oh yes, we are live, everybody. After our little hiatus there, I'd like to welcome our panel back for the next installment of Sense8 Symposium, which we're going to be going in depth into episode 8. And excuse the lawn mowing going on outside. I'll try to mute that as much as possible. But anyway, we'd like to welcome Martin, Simon, Tony, Vindia, and hopefully within the next half hour or so we'll get Maximilienne Ewalt, also known as Amanita's mom, on here. Let's keep our fingers crossed and Caffeus optimism going. But yeah, once again, it's great to have you guys joining me today. And yeah, so we're going to go right into episode 8. We will all be judged by the courage of our hearts. What did you guys think of the episode overall, first of all? Like, just overall impressions.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought there was some, I thought it was a little bit slower than some of the other ones, but they were getting into a lot of stuff from the previous episode, talking about that. I thought there was a couple of pretty funny bits that I'm sure we'll talk about, one in particular that I'm sure we'll talk about later, but I really enjoyed the episode.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we go in?
Well, I would say that there were a couple of important things in this episode, mainly the things about Wolfgang's and Felix's relationship as children, and a bit of a development of Sun's prison life, so that sort of stands out as some of the notable things that happened in this episode, which I think overall was very good, very good. And we have to remember the drama that happened with the
BPO, Simon?
Oh, I mean with Hernando and Lito.
Yeah. But actually, when we see the opening sequences with Nomi and Amanita sitting, like, after they had escaped the whole Whisper's body snatcher situation, and the interesting connection there was she was saying, you know, did you ever feel like when you're in a movie theater and like everyone around you is having a good time and you're not really sure and you're kind of feeling sad about that, and just pretty much as soon as she says that, they cut to Kala with her family in the movie theater, and it's exactly that, where everyone's like watching the comedy, like and then she's just sitting there and like I'm not feeling this, you know. So it was just like an interesting connection right from the start of the show, which I liked.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like a few minutes later, she connects with Wolfie while she's in the bathroom and he's in the hospital, and. Like one of my initial thoughts was, well, I kind of came up with it a little bit later, but it's like, you know, is it possible that her expressing that many tears is compensating for Wolfie's ability to not express his emotions that way, since he's very, like, you know, keeps it close to the vest and doesn't like to share his emotions. So it's like he's experiencing, or through her in that sense, as they were in the hospital.
Yeah, well, she's obviously feeling his emotion. That's why she's crying when she's sitting in there. So he's got all this overwhelming stuff that he's not letting out, and she's doing it for him, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is everyone else there?
I'm not sure. Are they all muted? You guys in?
Yeah, we are. We are.
Okay. Just pondering. Right?
You're being quiet.
just reflecting and pondering and all that.
I think one of my when she's in there and she's talking to when Carla's talking to Wolfgang, I think. And they're talking about their relationship and how they met each other, and had the flashback, obviously, to when they were children. And I just have to say, what a brilliant little boy that they got to play Wolfgang. They look so similar.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
Or what you would imagine they would look like. But I really liked how they went back and they showed us that, and about how even though Wolfgang now seems to be the real tough one, and he's the one that has that toughness about him, I guess Felix was the one when they were younger that stuck up for him twice, and actually looked after him when they were little. And I thought that was a real different swap, or like a bit of a character swap for them, because now Wolfgang obviously seems to be the tough one and be the more violent one, so to speak. But back then it was, although yes he was tough, he couldn't actually stand up for himself very much. It was Wolfgang it was Felix that obviously stood up for him.
Yeah.
And that's obviously how they got that bond. And I think I really liked the line that Wolfgang used when he said, he's not my brother by something as accidental as blood. It's something stronger. And then Carla's like, what? And he's like, well, by choice.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
The definitive line of that whole sequence.
Yeah. And I think everyone
hear me?
has people like that.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, we can.
And everyone has people like that in their life that they class as family, but it's not by, it's not by blood. It's by choice.
Yeah.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
And it seems like overall
it was definitely an emotional scene.
Oh.
Something's wrong with your something.
I think it was just a delay. Go ahead. Something about an emotional thing.
No,
that's better.
1 sec. It was definitely an emotional scene between Carla and Wolfgang, and both Wolfgang and Felix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is she muted?
She's not having much luck today.
I guess not. But what I was going to say earlier was there does seem to be a theme in this episode of kind of trying to go back and to the past as a way to kind of go through, I don't know, whatever the different things that they're working through. For example, with when the whole thing with Danny happens, and then they're in the street with it when she has her sunglasses. She says something like, where did it go?
I hate that.
Oh yeah, she says something like changing the past and about going back, and her doing that or going back into the past by going back with Joaquin for one, and so it's like it seems like a lot of the characters here are facing like demons of the past and trying to like come to terms with some of the choices that they've made.
Yeah. I don't know if I in that scene that you're talking about on the street with Danny Leto and Fernando, Leto was so, he just didn't want to look. He didn't want anything to do with it. He didn't want to know that she'd been hurt. He was standing like very submissive on the side so that he didn't have to deal with it. And I found that, I don't know, it was a really different side of him as well, I suppose. Like he just was ignoring it.
Yeah, he. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
We can.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I had some technical issues. Sorry, just to backtrack a little bit, there was that scene I reckon that was worthwhile mentioning, was between Wolfgang and Felix. They're watching Conan the Barbarian, And there's a quote that Conan says, "No one, not even you." I let Martin explain it.
Yeah.
Martin,
Martin?
Yeah.
do you want me to say the quote, or do you have it?
He's the quote guy.
One of
Yeah.
Daniela. No.
No, Conan. He goes, "No one, not even you, will remember."
No. I don't have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So basically, Conan goes, "No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. All that matters is that today two stood against many. That's what's important." So this really, really shows the relationship between Felix and Wolfgang, and I think this will really set the whole, future of where Sense8 would be going as a show. How Sense8 should be sticking together. So I reckon that quote was really, how when Wolfgang was getting bashed by those little kids just because he was from
The other
East
side of the
Germany,
wall.
I believe.
Yeah.
And then Felix jumps in, and then he quotes the same thing as well from the previous scene. So it really shows a strong relationship between both of them, as well as where Sense8 would be heading as a show, I believe, anyway. So.
Yeah, because it's definitely the implication that wherever Felix goes or wherever Wolfie goes, the other one will follow. It's just that level of commitment to each other and the shared history is like they're brothers basically.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're good or bad. So it shows also it tells you a little bit about Wolfgang's character, because remember the last scene with Carla and Wolfgang, and she is questioning whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. So it all fits in like a little puzzle.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry guys, I'll let you keep going.
Yeah.
I just thought it's worthwhile mentioning that little scene, because that's why Wolfgang ends up calling Felix as Conan.
Yeah. First name or last name?
Name Conan.
Yes.
So we're talking about Daniel.
But yeah, I think it's interesting to your point about the good men or bad men kind of thing, because Wolfie and Felix, to an extent, they kind of toe that line between like morally questionable acts, and at the same time they might do some criminal things, but they're not technically bad people if you look at it that way. So in that sense, they definitely embody both of those qualities at the same time in one person,
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, and then we didn't talk about this yet, but what did you think about the whole sun sequence in prison with learning to sew?
Oh, yeah. She said the second mouse advantage or something.
Second move advantage.
She goes,
yeah.
"Oh, my mom, my mom never taught me to sew, but my dad taught me about second mouse. Is it second mouse or second move? Does anyone remember that scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's so tough that, I mean, she's this tiny little person, and she just is so amazing the way she breaks out into this really tough person, and really sticking up for the other woman. I can't remember her name, the character's name, the one that the bully always picks on.
I just want to say something, but yeah.
It's Sujin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Standing up for someone who's being bullied. It was pretty funny, but when she first tripped her, in the sewing room, I can imagine everyone would be going, "Oh my God, you're in so much trouble right now."
Yeah.
But yeah, payback, and then when they got out into the yard, obviously, that was a really good scene.
It's kind of off topic a little bit, but I didn't realize all of them were such gifted artists.
I know.
It's like, wow, you must spend a lot of time. You got good at it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But, yeah. I liked the way, her friend, when they were out in the yard, her friend was talking about her family and about how she really misses her family, and she was drawing pictures of them and stuff like that, and then it flicks to Simon, and she's like, do you miss your family? Oh, she's like, do you miss your family? And she's like,
Like, if you're going to jail,
no.
you need to know how to sew.
Yeah.
She goes, I miss my dog. I was like, brilliant.
And she's like, I miss my dog. Which I thought that was cool.
That was pretty accurate too, as far as that
goes.
I mean, if you had to pick between your father and your brother and a dog, I'd pick the dog.
Yeah, in that family, definitely.
And then there was also, we talked about the Leto scene a little bit earlier, but there's also an interesting connection with when the superpower breaks into like Cassius's house with the whole gun thing, and they're like, "Tell us what we want," and all this kind of stuff. And then while that whole thing is going on, the gang boss asks Cassius, "It's like, what do we think? What do you think that we want when all this stuff has been taken away?" And it cuts immediately to Leto and the pacing around. He's like, "What does he want? What does he want?" Talking about Joaquin. So it's like, I just love picking up on those little things throughout the episode. How it's also
I thought that was cool too. Yeah.
And also after Danny left, did you think that within the next couple scenes, Hernando would leave Leto in that sense and just be like, "Well, you're not the person I thought you were," kind of a thing?
Well, no.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
No, you go, Simon. I've done a lot of talking.
Yeah, you've been pondering, Simon. So go for it.
No, I was really expecting some kind of clash between Leto and Hernando in that episode or soon after that, because you could see as this situation was unfolding, Hernando was getting more and more frustrated, and you could see him always looking at Leto, and especially when Daniela was leaving after they saw that she'd been hurt, and she gave them reassurance that she's got the photos and everything's going to be all right, and she's leaving, and Hernando just looks at Leto and just you can see that he wants him to do something, but I was really expecting a big fight or something, or some kind of coming up with a plan after Leto just turns around and decides that he should help her, but that came quite as a surprise that Hernando would actually be so hurt and so changed by the situation that he could give up this incredible love that they have.
But it's also an interesting parallel in the sense that Leto plays all these big badass action heroes and saves the day, and then when it's a time to do it in real life, he's just like, "Oh, I'm not having any of this," you know?
No, he's the submissive one. Yeah.
It's definitely true that when Leto is pondering his breakup with Hernando and the actions that led to it, all the things with Danny, that he says that it's true, he's just a fake. He really is a coward that plays these big action heroes, but is nothing like them in real life. But of course, later on, he just becomes one because he basically becomes Wolfgang for a bit. But
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
further down the line, so I will leave that for later.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what I mean with this. So yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you guys think also? Because now Will is discovering he requisitions the file to get like Niles Bolger, and then he's like, well, this guy an hour ago was just drinking from a straw, and now he's putting on a suit, getting ready to kill people. And like,
Yeah.
so what was your guys' first take on the whole like Whisper's body snatching situation? Oh.
Guys,
Hello.
Hey, Maximilienne.
Oh my God.
Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
I finally made it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No worries, no worries. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Because I actually we were just gonna get into the part where in your scene actually where Whispers and his crew of BPO end up knocking on the door and he's like, well, we need to search your house and we have a warrant. You know,
Right.
like what was that whole sequence like to shoot?
Well, it was very interesting. It was first of all, the set, which was my house, my character's house, was incredibly crowded. There were cameras everywhere, wires everywhere, and I was in the hallway waiting for, you know, the doorbell to ring while they were shooting Nomi and Nita's scene in the living room. And so there was just a lot going on, and I watched it last night again, and I was amazed at the fluidity of it and how smoothly everything went. It was just incredible because it was a very chaotic day. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and you know, working with Jamie and Freema and no, I can't think of his name.
Brian.
No, and Whispers.
Terrence Mann.
Yes, Terrence. It was such he was such a nice guy. You never know it, but he was wonderful. So I'm not sure what you want to know in specifically about that day, but
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that about covers it.
yeah.
But I guess he was really in character as Whispers then, if he's a really nice guy off set or off camera.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's easy for actors to slip in and out. You know. Character, you know. As soon as the camera's off, people. I don't want to spoil the magic, but it was. It was a great day, and just watching that scene again last night, especially the scene in the living room with Brian, and that was a very difficult scene, you know, when watching it, and it just, there was a lot of dialogue, you know, Brian was in and out, and Nita wasn't seeing him, and it was just brilliant, and what was fun is Lana would come out. She'd be watching it in the back room on the screen, the monitor, and she'd come out every night. She'd watch it, and then she'd come out and she'd go, "Okay, more stuff." She was like, you know, choreographing the scene. It was really fun. Fun to watch. Very fun to watch. Yeah.
And did you get to pick their brain along the way as that was going on?
Did I get to pick what?
Did you get to pick their brains along the way while they're doing their creative process, or?
Somewhat, not particularly at that time, but often I would be sitting watching on the monitor with them and just observing them. Pick their brain, you mean about that scene or
just in general, yeah.
You know, I didn't want to not really. I mean, there were times when we talked more personally about things, and just remember them saying how, well, I don't know. They were saying how this might be their last project. You know, it's really interesting. And I remember saying, well, why?
Yeah.
And I don't know that I should answer for them, but hopefully that will not be the case, because I said you know, that would be such a pity, because you guys are so talented, and they were just very thankful and grateful, and you know, I guess there's a lot going on with them too, you know, but they sure made it easy for everybody on set, and they were so relaxed, and they were a lot of fun, you know.
Awesome.
Oh, and I will say this, in watching that scene again, you know, when he comes, it was, you know, I remember when he was pushing through the door and wanting to come, it was like, my instinct was I wanted to stop him, you know, protect my daughter. Yeah. And I said, no, you have to let him in. so I said, okay, but I noticed I was ad-libbing a lot there at the end, you know, I could hear, you know, no, you know, just the normal gush of fear that a mother would feel that wasn't really in the script.
Yeah.
But they left it in, so they were happy with it.
Yeah, it turned out well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, I was going to pose this question to all of you, I guess, as we're moving along. What did you guys think as far as first impressions of Whisper's ability to body snatch Niles Bolger?
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing. I mean, obviously in the last episode, when you saw him in the mirror before, you know, he shot himself, it was like you knew what was happening, but it was like, how exactly is that happening with being able to animate a body? If, you know, because they visit, and obviously that they can share their skills in that, but it's always, I don't know, he's taken over the brain, hasn't he? And because that's what the problem is with Niles having the lobotomy, obviously, and then being able to take him over and do that was just, what is going on? And I still pose that question, and still think about it all the time, as in if he's actually in his cluster or not, or whether Whispers has that ability to share with other people, you know, other clusters, or if Niles was in his cluster, because they never really talked about that. So it's one thing I've always been thinking about.
I have a question.
Sure.
How many times did you watch it before you realized that that's what had happened, that Whispers had entered his body? Did you guys get that right away?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the few things I think I could really get on the first go.
Yeah. I think especially when, oh God, his name's completely gone. No, I've forgotten. Jonas. Especially when Jonas was in the apartment and he was saying that he was talking about Whispers, and then he goes, he's here? And then Niles walked in, and it's like, well, no, he's not, because that's not Whispers. And then you kind of went and you're like, so that kind of confused me a little bit. But then when you saw him in the mirror, the reflection, that's where you go, oh wow, it actually is him. So yeah, I thought it was well done.
And then my immediate thought too was maybe for all the people they lobotomize, that's like an extra body for Whispers to manipulate, you know, like a puppet master of body snatchers.
That's right. Is that how he does it? And is that why he does it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were when we were writing some of the more complex articles on the Wikipedia page. I was working on with a couple of people. for Sense8 when we were discussing this thing with Whispers taking over the body of Niles Bolger. There were really just two things, two options we saw, and we can't really move anywhere from just these two theories, which is one that Niles Bolger was in his cluster already, or that when you take away that part of a person, that their sense of self that is lost when the person is lobotomized, then the body can be taken over by any Sense8 that is connected to him by making previous eye contact. So those are really the only two options without going into the crazier options of Whispers having some extra abilities, not just being a regular Sensei and having something more than the others. So yeah, we were really talking about that a lot, and yeah, both of those possibilities were heavily discussed, and we seriously, it's 50-50. We can't move to either side. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess we have to wait and see if he takes over anyone else, I suppose, because they haven't really got into that. Yeah, maybe he wants total world domination.
Well,
so he wants to...
One more time?
Well, Brian's next, right? Because Brian saw Whispers, so how Whispers is going to use Brian should be, it'll be whether Brian's going to fall into the whole Whispers thing or whether they can actually find a way to save him. Yeah. I don't want to say the word interesting again, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're looking forward to in season 2, isn't it? How he's going to get away with this. How Will's going to be able to get away from Whispers, because we definitely don't want to lose him, and we don't want him to stay drugged up for the whole season either. So
no, that would be
just sort something out.
And speaking of Will and Riley, we definitely see the development of their relationship in this episode, as far as the whole "you take your coffee like that too" kind of thing when they're going back and forth between Chicago and Iceland. I thought that sequence was well done as well.
Yeah.
Really
definitely.
Oh,
what was that, Martin?
Yeah, that it's really magical when Riley and Will connect, touching themselves with the hand and showing our senses and sensitivity. I think sometimes we don't realize the instant as really running fast to the limit of time, at least in big cities. We don't enjoy the moment with fullness and appreciate that we have around like nature, no? Something so beautiful as we look nature.
Well said.
Yeah, that's right. I thought it was. I actually really enjoyed the part where they were in Iceland, and then all of a sudden, Riley hears this big noise, and she turns around, and it's like, you live here, you can sleep through this. I thought that was scene was well done.
It was very funny too when he was hit to nobody.
Yeah. It's like Diego walks in, is like, "The fuck you doing, Gorski?"
Yeah. Just the look on Will's face, and just how well Brian acted that scene with shock and embarrassment.
I'm just fangirling at the moment.
But also, what's going on, and I don't know what's happening, sort of thing. Because obviously to him it was real, and then he realizes, whoa, no one else can actually see that. It was
Yeah, well, I remember asking Brian about making this scene, and he agreed that it was quite, as I called it, hilariously awkward.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Gosh, it would have been.
And then of course this episode 2 is also where we see one of the bigger action sequences to date with Nomi going across the side, and then with Sun and Will helping her with the cops, and it's like, oh, I need some help, and they're like, oh, who are you? I'm Sun. I was sleeping.
Yeah. Before we get to that though, when Amanita was in the bathroom,
oh yes,
the whole tampon thing. Oh my god, that was
a great scene.
I was thinking, what is she doing? What is she doing? And then all of a sudden I don't know what that liquid was that she poured on. I don't have anything red like that in my cupboard,
right?
but
It was called syrup, I believe. Max can
right,
confirm
yeah.
that.
Iodine, probably.
Oh,
Iodine.
okay, iodine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
There
scene,
you go.
Yeah.
I was just, and I was in the moment, and I'm thinking about it from, you know, the guy that's breaking through the doors perspective as well, and so disgusting.
He's like, I don't want to
believe
touch
it. I was like, that's so brilliant, because no guy's going to want to go in there and deal with that.
Federal agent or not.
Yeah.
That's something they don't prepare you for in the FBI training program.
Flying tampons.
That was quite a packed day of shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you there for that scene?
I was there. I was not on the set at that time.
Oh, yeah.
I think they did that in between, you know, when I was off doing something else.
Yeah.
Well, I was there when they did the bathroom scene. Yeah, I got to watch that on the monitor over and over and over. And that was really fun. That was really fun.
You're like, that's my Gil.
Yeah. You know, and Andy was back there laughing, you know, just watching it. And she just did it so good every time. Every time. The timing was just perfect, you know. Her timing. So that's a lot of rushing around and, you know, sitting down at just the right time when that door opens. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that chase scene was wild. I didn't watch them shoot that, but I think they shot that all the same day.
Wow.
Well, maybe not. No, I can't say that. They probably shot parts of it, the escape part. The escape part, yeah. And maybe they did some of the fighting behind the house that day. But they also shot some of the orgy scene that day.
Oh, wow.
Which I was there for.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I was like, whoa.
Yes.
How was that being on set for that?
That was really fun. It was, you know, I guess I had forgotten that it had been in the script, because I went back and looked at the script, and I did find that it was. Oops, somebody's coming upstairs. Hold on a second.
Nope.
Hi. Sorry. Anyway, what was I saying? That
The orgy
scene
scene.
being in the script.
What?
The orgy scene being in the script.
Oh yeah, I didn't remember that scene in the script, so I went back and revisited it, and I saw that there was some about this orgy, but it was not nearly as elaborate, and it didn't have Wolfgang, and it didn't have everybody in it, but it was there, and but yeah, so it was a surprise to me when it came, and you know, Brian showed up in his white robe, and Miguel showed up in his white robe, and I really didn't know what they were going to be doing. Oh, sorry. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall in that scene.
Yeah, it was like, and then when I realized what was going on, I hope they don't mind me saying this, you know, Miguel was in the corner, you know, pumping up and, you know, lifting weights.
Did he do it? Did he go like,
and oh, I don't know. I asked Brian something. I said, you know, have you ever done a scene like this? He goes, no. I said, are you scared? He goes, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Brian. I hope he doesn't get upset with me for saying that. But it was very funny, and fun, and yeah, and I got to watch it on the monitor. Not the part with Wolfgang, of course, that came in later because he wasn't there. But I thought that scene was really beautiful, actually.
Yeah. What a great scene.
Really beautiful. That was
How
a
it
very
turned out,
beautiful scene. Yeah.
We can all take a moment to
Yeah,
soak
I'm thinking.
that in.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were waiting. That was all around the time we shot the scene in the living room with the, when they're discovering information about BPO.
Yeah.
So I think Brian or Leto, he mentioned that it was on their first date that they filmed that scene.
Right.
So
that's right.
Yeah, oh my
That was
God,
the first
imagining a scene like that on your first day.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. I didn't know that was their first day on it, but
Wow.
I'd read that too, and I read Miguel's interview, or I heard his interview where he said he went into costume and to wardrobe.
They go, here you go, here's some honey.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's how they do it.
Oh no.
Who was the most nervous, Max?
The most nervous for that scene?
Yeah.
That scene? Well, I didn't really. The only person I asked was Brian, because I was sitting right next to him when there was a pause, and it was a break or something, and so I just happened to ask him. I didn't ask anybody else, but so I'm sure everybody was a little, nervous.
Yeah. As you would be. Hence the pumping up beforehand, because yeah.
Well,
you would want to look your best.
Yeah, you want
to define everything.
You don't know what they're going to show.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very tastefully done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was, yeah.
And I do remember people asking, why some of the other characters weren't included in that scene.
That was me.
Females, apart
For me,
from,
it's pretty obvious why they weren't. If you understand their character and where they were at in their life and what was going on with them, it wouldn't be appropriate. They wouldn't be in that frame of mind.
No. No, that's right.
And then you would just have the residual of Capheus looking angrily or confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While watching Van Damme.
He's probably thinking, I don't know what these guys are up to, but I'm still here.
Yeah, I don't think they weren't part of even feeling any of that. That I recall at the time.
Definitely not Carla or Riley or Sun. No.
Yeah. Or Cephas.
Yeah.
I think Capheus got just a little bit of a bleed-through effect, not feeling what the others were feeling, but just a little bit of a resonating feeling in him from this.
Well, in part of him.
Well, I would like the scene where he was sort of confused why he was slightly aroused while watching a Van Damme movie.
Yeah, when he was sitting in the bus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it. Yeah, he looks down and kind of goes, But, yeah. And you get the feeling that he's aroused.
What's happening here? Yeah.
It's like, I know I like Van Damme, but not that much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So, back to that chase scene with the three of them, well, four of them technically at the end. I really liked the way when Nomi obviously jumps into the street and she's like, oh no, because there's all the cops around, and then Will comes in, well, Sun comes in first, doesn't she? But how she gets on the ground as well when the cops are, Nomi and Sun get down on the ground, and then Will says, okay, that one's going to grab your left wrist, that one's right-handed, so he's going to do this, and he just pointed out the whole scene of what was going to happen while he's walking along the corridor to go to his boss's office. That's some serious multitasking there. Yeah, it was really well done.
In real life, I believe Naomi doesn't know how to drive as well. I think it was mentioned somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's as realistic as it gets.
Yeah, she says that in the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Says that when
but
she gets
in real
the
life,
car.
does she drive? Yeah, but in real life, does anyone know if she actually?
Oh, in real life, I don't know.
Drive.
I do know that I read somewhere that she learned to ride the bicycle on set. She didn't know how to ride the bicycle.
Oh, maybe it was that.
Yeah, that's true. We kind of discussed that on her fan page.
Yeah. She did well then.
Yeah, I'll say.
Crash course,
A lot of bicycle riding.
Yeah.
Through all those obstacles and cop cars too on top of that.
Yeah.
It's not just a casual stroll through the park, it's intense.
No.
Yeah. They
And
may have
it
used
actually flips the vehicle.
Yeah.
Like he sees in the movies. Didn't he mention something like that?
Yeah, it's like, I've seen this once in a movie,
Yeah.
It worked better in the movie.
It worked better in the movie. Though, considering it worked out pretty well for them, too.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those little humorous moments about that, even in the one with the police officer telling Will to drop his badge. He says, this isn't a scene in a movie.
Yeah.
I remember when we read that, when we all read that, we just laughed. When we were reading.
Do we discuss about the whole Leto and Caffee's connection? This is when, Leto was torn between what to do with Daniela, and Caffeus is torn in regards to the decision he has to make with the bad guys, and he discusses it with his mom. So, with Joaquin.
We touched on it, but...
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit. But,
we touched on the lap over,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through my notes.
All right, I'm not the only one with notes this week. Sweet.
I made notes so I can keep up with you guys.
Oh, and that's another thing as well. Is this the scene where Riley is talking to her dad's friend? We haven't touched on that, have we?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
No, we haven't. Yeah. Sven.
Okay. I'll wait then. Sven, yeah.
You can go there now. I think we're...
When she goes to see Sven, she mentions that she doesn't...
and we're on another topic.
Yeah. So she says to Sven, I don't drive anymore. And I watched that episode day before yesterday, and I couldn't help but giggle a little bit because coming back from London, I'm like, it's a good thing she doesn't know how to drive. The traffic is horrible. It is just really, really bad. So it's a good...
She's not having much luck today.
Frozen.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far
as... don't... Go, Evan.
Okay. Well, thank you. But as far as the driving goes, I don't think it was so much about traffic. It was more about... We didn't know about it yet, obviously, but it
that's what I was going to say.
it alludes to her, accident later on. But I also kind of wanted to ask is, at this point in the season, what was your opinion of Riley by this point?
Oh, good question.
Well,
sort of. I'm still sitting on the fence with Riley, to be honest, because all these other characters are having so much of a story and depth that we don't see with Riley until later episodes. So at this point, I was still on the fence with her, going, surely there should be more to her than what they're presenting, So yeah, I was on the fence with Riley on this one, saying, other characters you kind of know where you sit in regards to Leto, in regards to Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Like, I felt there was always something missing, and that was addressed in the future episodes.
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery surrounding her at the moment. Even though we're quite a few episodes in, no one really knows what's happening and why wouldn't she go back to why hasn't she been back to Iceland? Why did she get this warning not to go back? She's a DJ who's into drugs and that kind of thing for us at the moment. But you're just starting to see that softer side and her relationship with Will and stuff like that. So they drop little hints every now and then, like how she doesn't drive and stuff like that. So at this point, I think that you didn't really know what was going on, but you wanted to know more. You were eager to know more because it was just so much of a mystery, I think, her character.
Yeah. I agree with that, and to me it's clear in watching it, even though you don't get a lot of information about her, she clearly comes off as someone who's been very injured, so there's a lot hidden there, and I think that was very clear, and maybe a lot of people were annoyed with that because they didn't know that she had all this tragedy, and no one did.
Yeah.
It happens, but there was something very deeply broken in her. And
if you if you read some of the forums, some people would call Riley as sort of flat, but there's not so much dimensions to her, but it does eventually show. But I would love to see what happens in the future episode, how her character unfolds with the whole Brian situation and everyone else.
Right.
Because in question going, what is Riley's hidden talent? How is she going to... Because if you really think about it, there's a lot of focus on Riley. Like, there's a lot of focus on Riley and Brian compared to other characters. That's how I feel. So to see how it all unfolds and, should be... Max, can you drop us any hints? Sorry, I had to ask.
What kind of hints about what's going to happen to her?
Season 2.
Oh, I have no information about Season 2. I wish I did. I know as much as you guys. Yeah. But I know they're writing it now.
Cool.
I know there's been a lot of speculation as to when it's going to be on. It's going to be a while. It took almost a year. It took almost a year to shoot that whole season.
Wow.
They started in June 2014, I think, and I think they continued shooting, up till the end of the year. No, that's not a year.
It's not
that's 6 months. Yeah. So yeah, maybe it wasn't a year, but.
I mean, it's not like they're shooting, like the one scene four or five times to get it right. They have to, because each scene is actually a few different shoots because they're doing it in different countries and with different people and that sort of thing. So it's, it would be very time-consuming to film, I imagine.
Yes, and also it didn't get approved for a second season until August 8th, right?
Yeah.
So they probably hadn't written they had it in their heads maybe, but they didn't have the details of each episode, and that takes time. But they were still writing it when we started shooting.
Wow.
They were we only read together, I think. Originally it was going to be 10 episodes, and then they added 2 more episodes. But originally it was only going to be 10. And so we read up to 8 or 9, and then they still hadn't written the final one. And then when they started shooting that in Chicago, I understand that nobody knew anything about the script except their part in the story. So it was a surprise for everybody, the finale. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to do it.
That's good, yeah.
That's interesting.
So they're very fluid with their writing, and they make changes, last-minute changes at here, and so they're still writing, I'm sure. And all the logistics, though, of filming in all these countries takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
no doubt.
It's going to be a while.
And I know you touched on it a little bit in our interview, but
my God, we need to do something.
What's that?
I know we touched on it a little bit in our interview, but what are some of the other things that you're looking forward to as a fan and as a possible participant for the upcoming season?
Well, of course, I hope to be in season 2.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know. I don't I don't know that there's a need for the character any further, but I don't know. I really don't know. I would hope. In terms of what, I really don't have any, I'm just looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of turmoil in all these budding relationships and romances that everybody's so happy about and excited about. But I don't think they will go as smoothly as people hope. I have a feeling. No. So it'll be very interesting to see. I know that they do know, or Straczynski said that they do know how it's going to end. They know that.
Yeah, I've heard that they have a 5-year arc planned out apparently. So
right, Martin looks shocked.
You look shocked?
Yeah, that looks pretty shocking.
Yeah.
So
let me
just clarify that. So what we're saying is that they know the ending, so they're sort of trying to work through to reach that ending. So the middle part, they're sort of going with the flow. Is that right?
I don't know. That's just something I have read that Straczynski said that they always know how it's going to end, and then it's like, and then they come up with the process to get there. I don't know.
Like working the way backwards, maybe, or something.
It's an interesting way to work.
Yeah.
The creative process.
I think Twitter's going to break now. People are going to come up with so many theories.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting reading some of those theories, that Grace could be a Sense8 as well, and and as I said in my interview, when I heard what Ursa said, that I thought the same thing because she was talking about that same vibration that you feel. So
That's right.
yeah,
True.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
interesting.
that's
You
kind
could be a
of
sensei too, for
Yeah,
all we know.
or was yeah.
Was.
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Very,
Channel some Caffeus optimism.
yeah. I'm reading a really interesting book right now. It's been around, but a mother talks about their daughter has run away, and she feels the connection through her belly button, through the umbilical cord. So mother's instincts stay very connected to their kids.
Max, gotta say, been fangirling you quite a bit.
What's that?
And
Oh, you
love
have.
the scene. Yeah.
Oh.
Your scene was just beautiful. The way you described about the mother and the daughter's connection. It was just it tugged at my heartstrings. It
Thank you.
definitely did, and it just made me think of my mom. And it was just just thought you should know.
In my case, and my aunt.
What was that, Martin?
Character that I remember my aunt with her. Max
Oh,
removed.
yeah.
Oh.
And it was a mystical character.
I'm sorry, say that again?
A really mystical character.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You guys are just amazing. This is just an incredible experience to be sharing with you, and you're all from all over the world, and
Yeah.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much.
I definitely found with your character, it was the way they've written it is that you're so accepting of everything, and I don't think any of the other parents that we've seen so far that I can remember are, just go with the flow, and it's so the characters, so the way that if everybody was like your character in the world would be such a better place. Because you're so open and accepting, and you just play it so well as well.
Oh,
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been so interesting. I've had people on Twitter, say, I wish I wish Grace was my mom, and somebody else said, I need a hug from Nita's mom right now, and it's just like, I feel like it's like. You're all my children, It really does. It really does. So interesting. So interesting.
Maybe they should drop off Ryan at your place for you to take care of him.
Ryan?
Brian?
Yeah, Brian.
Brian.
Oh, Brian.
Brian.
Will.
That's like, who's Ryan?
Will, yeah.
Taken care of? Yeah.
Because Will is all drugged up, so yeah, exactly.
Vindy's just starstruck. She's stuttering a little bit.
Yeah. Wow. I think the series in general has just really got I've never been drawn to a show so instantly, and just all of the different concepts and everywhere that it goes and the different characters, and it's just a real one-of-a-kind show, I think. So we're all so glad that it's back for season 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
It's amazing.
I'm just I'm so happy that it's meeting with so much success. I'm happy for the Wachowskis, because boy, reading the reviews and stuff of some of their work was painful before. Like people just out to get them. It's like they just can't do anything after Matrix. So I'm so happy for them, and and it's an amazing story. Truly an amazing story.
And I mean, even the critics for Sense8 in the beginning were bagging it and saying how terrible it was, and we're all sitting there going, "Are you watching the same show we're watching? Because it's amazing."
I agree. I was shocked. I was really shocked. I was shocked. Yeah.
And for a while, I had to take it upon myself to balance the scale and write some actual
That's
content
right.
that wasn't negative. So I was like, okay, let's balance this a little bit.
Well, I think you have.
Yeah, it's worked out.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
Yeah. I was looking over my notes here.
Yeah, is there anything else from the episode that we haven't discussed?
Well, I came in really late.
Apart from the very end scene, of course.
Oh, yeah, the end
Oh,
scene.
that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, in the end, we all will be judged by the courage of our hearts.
Right.
Oh, yeah. That's what Hernando says, which is actually said twice in the movie, in the series episode, isn't it? Because
once in the
Danny
behind
says
the
it.
camera.
Yeah, they're quotes from a movie that Lita was in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking about that also, that all of the characters are what is the quote again of we all
We all
will
will be judged by the courage of our hearts.
and they're all dealing with the courage in the building up the courage in their hearts. Every single one of them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They've all got stuff to deal with and just,
Right. And did you talk about the scene with Kala at the temple with her father-in-law?
We didn't get to that yet, actually.
No, that's the only thing we haven't really discussed.
Okay.
That was a big flip, wasn't it, for the potential father-in-law to be. I mean, when they were sitting there with the wedding planners,
You could see
again,
in his face, though, right? He was like, I'm not having any more of this.
No, the way that he's so anti-religion, or when she brought up having the ceremony, at the temple, in front of Ganesha, he was just looking at her like, oh my gosh, is this really happening, sort of thing. So yeah, for him to approach her and say, I should have never given my blessing and you need to break it off, was a bit of a shock, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they've kind of planted a bit of his
She should
negativity, I guess, in other episodes.
She's like, no problem.
Yeah.
I found someone else.
Yeah. She's moved on already, yeah. Yeah. And then obviously the actual final scene of the whole episode where at the top, the guys at the top of the stairs and
the Game of Thrones-esque
yes.
thing. I was like, are these the Sons of the Harpy, or are these...
Yeah. God, it was... Yeah.
True.
It was brutal. It was definitely a shock factor.
In a way, I kind of had a feeling, though, that, a few episodes back, how gung-ho the people were about killing the father and the son. And so I was like, as soon as he walked to the temple, I'm like, it's probably not a good idea that he's here,
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't remember
If I
that.
was... Yeah, so... Max, this was the scene where Carla's future father-in-law visits her in the temple and tries to convince her to end the wedding from happening.
Technical difficulties.
Are you making music?
While he's having that chat with her, some of the members of the temple.
Oh wow, what a
apologies, technical difficulties. But and then like I was saying beforehand, how they had the X's on the board, so they were already pretty much intent on killing them from an early point, and it was just like, and then later they're like, oh, thank you for bringing him to us to deliver us from the demon and all that, and she's like,
yeah,
no,
that's horrible.
yeah, that wasn't my intent.
That's
No.
the part I don't remember, where you said her future father-in-law was planning on killing these people.
No, the people were planning on killing the father-in-law because he was using his influence to like outlaw the religious practices.
Right, yes.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was definitely, as you said, Evan, a very Game of Thrones-ish scene.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely quite the scene to end on, for sure.
That was the final scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, unless anyone had any other notes that we didn't go over, by all means.
Did you guys I never saw a symposium for episode 7. Did you do one for 7?
We did that last week, I think.
Because I thought you
did Sunday, a week ago, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I got an email saying that you were taking a break for a week or something.
Yeah, that was this past week, but the week before that we did 7. It was Tony, myself, and another person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I don't have any other notes.
I have a quote from Daniela. We make choices, and life has a way of making us pay for them.
Yeah, from Daniela.
Yep, that was really good.
And actually, that ties even back to where Joaquin first takes Lito out to lunch or whatever, and he's like, sooner or later, everyone pays, you know. So that brings it full circle as well.
And that was also a quote from one of his movies. Lito's movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's amazing how many of his movies.
Movie, and he's gonna go movie better than me.
Yeah. So, are you going to be doing episode 9?
Yeah, and then on Saturday we'll probably go back to our regular time. But if ever you want to join us for another one, let us know what time works for you, and we can do that.
I loved that episode.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 9, yeah.
Yeah, with Lito. Lito's unraveling.
Yeah.
That's
the lost jandal. Oh, sorry, thong.
The lost flip-flop. Flip-flop.
Flip-flop. And the sinks and the bathtub's not working and all that.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, it's funny.
Cool.
Yeah. Episode 9 is definitely my designated tissue box episode because there's a lot of moments in that one.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah, I think that wraps it up for us today. Thank you again, Maximilienne, for taking the time to join us.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry, it was so much technical difficulties. I got some bad news of my cat too. I went to the vet and found out he has lymphoma.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I have cats, so that's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, that really hit me over the head a bit today. So.
Well, thank you for joining me.
With you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure joining all of you, and thank you again for all your support and for everything you're doing, for your love of Sense8.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah. And for anyone that missed this broadcast, it will be available on the YouTube channel. And until next week, remember, you are no longer just you. All right.
Bye, guys.
Everybody can wave.
See ya.
Bye.
Hi, guys.